Hey guys, Christian here. Welcome back to another video. I gotta say, it feels very good to be doing one of these sit down videos again. It's definitely been a while. Anyways, as many of you guys already know, I've owned my BMW 335i for a little bit over 5 years now. And during that time, I've learned many things. Some good and some not so good. Today, my goal is to help you guys out by sharing 5 things I wish I knew before I purchased my BMW 335i. And just a bit of warning for you guys that are in the market to buy one, you might want to reconsider it because it may not be the right car for you. Reason number 1 is previous owner neglect. This has to be the main reason why BMWs are so unreliable. People buy them cheap, do not maintain them properly, can't afford the maintenance, trade it back in, dealer puts a band-aid over them, wash, rinse, repeat. Which is why you got to be very careful when buying a second-hand BMW, especially the BMW 335i, because you know those cars seem to need a little more attention. There are a few things you can do to minimize the chances of not being ripped off when buying a used BMW. 1, ask the seller for maintenance records. If it has an extensive history of stuff they've done to the BMW, well, that's pretty reassuring. 2, get a pre-purchase inspection from a reputable mechanic. Typically those run you $150 to $200, and they can really save you from buying a true money pit. 3, just walk around the car, open the hood, take a peek. A lot of the times you can tell if it's been poorly modified. Chances are that car has been abused. And let's be real, a lot of 335i owners, you really think they care about maintenance? Do you really think they're gonna put money into maintenance? No! MHD, full bolt-ons, upgraded turbos, burbos. So yeah, if it doesn't look like it's been modified, you know, stock wheels, stock suspension, you open the hood and you see the stock enclosed air intake, then you know what, you might be in the green, or you might not. It's always a risk with these cars because the previous owner could have had it modified and then just put everything back to stock to make it look like it was unmolested. Anyways, going back to what I was talking about earlier, when somebody doesn't properly maintain a BMW, trades it in, somebody else buys it, then it's their turn to maintain it and kind of make up for all the other stuff the other person didn't do. They can't afford it, they also trade it in, and it's like a domino effect, right? The reason for that, it's not really the replacement parts. They're not much more than, let's say, a Toyota, a Honda, or a Lexus or something like that. It's more the labor cost that BMW specialists charge to work on these cars. Labor for these cars like the 335i is very, very expensive. These are complex machines with complex electronics, and you really need a specialist to work on these cars, and they typically charge a lot more than, let's say, a Japanese vehicle. And this is what typically happens when overdue maintenance just keeps piling up over the years from owner to owner, and then people just think that these cars are terrible. And I can tell you that the previous owner that owned my 335i skipped out on some maintenance. By the time I got the car, spark plugs were due, coils were due, air filter was due, walnut blasting was due. About a year into ownership, I noticed that it was starting to leak oil from the valve cover gasket and oil pan gasket. It wasn't much, but you know what, that's how it all starts, just a little bit. So at that point, it was my responsibility to play catch up with maintenance. And that's essentially what could happen to you if you buy a used BMW 335i. It can go 2 ways. 1, you get proper maintenance records, the car's been taken care of, you have nothing to worry about, but you're probably gonna pay a little bit more. Or 2, you cheap out, pay a little bit less, the car has a questionable history, and now you gotta play catch up, find all the weak points and fix them all. And if you don't work on your own cars and you bought a questionable 335i that needs a lot of work done by a shop, you better pop open that piggy bank. It's about to get pricey. By the way, if you still haven't purchased an awesome, ultra soft Vehicle Viral shirt with the BMW up front, I'll leave it linked down in the description below if you guys are interested in helping support the channel, or you can just go to vehiclevirals.com. Reason number 2 sort of relates to reason number 1. They are maintenance heavy. Let's say the N54 engine, which is equipped on the earlier model 335i's, those are typically the most desirable because of their tuning potential. If you were to buy a 335i that has the N54 and you took care of all the weak points immediately, then the engine is actually not that bad and the car can be very reliable. And by tackling all the weak points, I'm referring to like the coolant lines, all the gaskets, the charge pipe, injectors, high pressure fuel pump. You see, typically most people know that their car is experiencing some issues, but they wait for the part to break before they change it. So let's just say like that coolant line that goes right above the radiator and it snaps, they'll replace it. They won't do anything else. Then the expansion tank goes bad, so they replace the expansion tank. Then the valve cover gasket goes bad, they replace the valve cover gasket, and then the oil pan gasket, they replace that as well, oil filter housing gasket, and then the low pressure sensor, then the high pressure fuel pump. and it seems like it goes on forever, like the car's always breaking and it's always failing. Typically on these engines, when one of those weak points go bad, that pretty much means every other weak point is gonna go bad very soon. Typically the best thing you could do with the 335i when things starts to fail is to just update everything. It's pretty much what I did with my 335i. I took it over to PSI Orlando. Those guys did a complete engine out service. They replaced anything that was broken, brittle, questionable, updated all of it. And now I'm trouble free. I got a clear head, I got reliable horsepower. It's just the best feeling. Like I said in previous videos, maintenance, especially before performance, because the minute you tune a car that has not been taken care of properly, all the weak points are going to be exposed like times 10. And trust me, you do not want to go through that headache. I'll tell you this, I wish I would have known how maintenance heavy the 335 is when I first purchased it. I remember like a few months afterwards, I was getting misfires, took it to the BMW dealership, and they said injectors needed to be swapped out and quoted me around $4,000. I almost freaking died. And that was like 1 month after I declined the extended warranty. Oh my god, I just wanted to freaking die. The third thing I wish I would have known before I bought my BMW 335i was the lack of aftermarket support for the E93 convertible. Obviously this doesn't apply to everybody because a lot of people either opt in for the E92 coupe or the E90 sedan. But you'll be surprised how many people are in the market for an E93. One, because they're easier to find. Two, typically they're cheaper. And three, they're pretty desirable because of the hardtop convertible. My advice for you, if you're in the market for an E93 and you're looking to modify it in the future, then I would do my research before you buy one, because a lot of the aftermarket support is geared towards the E92 and the E90, and there's not that many for the E93 convertible. I know this because I myself own an E93 and there's specific mods I want done to the car, which is much harder to come by. Let me give you a few examples and show you what I mean. When I was in the market for LCI taillights, it was almost impossible to find them at a very good price because all the aftermarket ones were for the coupe and not for the E93, which is weird because they look identical, but they're not the same. Meaning I had to look for OEM ones, which were very hard to find, and if you did find them, they're very expensive to get a hold of, because there's not that many in the market. That said, I did get the LCI taillights. It's very possible, but definitely a little more challenging. Another example was last year when I was looking to buy a wide body kit for my car, which none of the companies offered it for the convertible, but for only the coupe. And if you wanted it for the convertible, it needed like a lot of modifications. And honestly, I didn't really know a shop like that. I didn't want to spend the extra money, so I just kind of scratched that idea. Is it possible? Well, technically yes. Is it annoying? Absolutely. The most recent example is when the guys at PSI Orlando installed the VRSF street exhaust onto my car. Towards the front of the car by the downpipes, fitment was fine, everything was great. But once you got to the rear end, there was fitment issues. Like a lot of fitment issues. I guess because the convertible needs more reinforcement, like there's these bars and these braces and these shields that all have to come off in order to fit the exhaust on. And even with all of that removed, we had to modify the piping to fit back there. But then I couldn't put any of the support stuff back onto the car, which made me feel a little uneasy. And if you do a quick look online, you'll notice that about 99% of the exhaust systems out there do not fit the convertible. Same thing applies to other parts, like let's say a trunk lip, or if you're looking to get a carbon fiber trunk. Availability for the convertible versions are much less than the other E90X models. You see, when I first purchased my 335i, it was not an issue because I didn't modify the car for the first 4 years. But then in January 2018, I started making content for YouTube. Later that year, I decided to start modifying the car because you guys wanted me to do it. And then I started to realize, oh my god, the E93 is cursed. Listen, I absolutely love my E93 convertible, but if I had to choose again, I'd probably opt in for a sedan with a manual transmission. Real quick guys, I'm trying to get to 10,000 followers on Instagram, and it's very hard. I need your help. So if you haven't already followed me there, make sure and follow me. I do post a lot of behind the scene content there, and once I get to 10,000 followers, I will be giving away a Valvetronic exhaust system that's normally valued at $700 to one of you guys for free. So I'd really appreciate it if you guys follow me there, but do not abandon this video. I need the YouTube watch time. Fourth thing I wish I would have known before I bought my BMW 335i is how fast they depreciate. I remember driving off the BMW lot with my 335i. Just a few weeks after that, the car was worth less than the loan that I owed. That's how fast it was depreciated. At the time, the only way buying a car like that was worth it was if you were looking to keep it for a very long time. But if you were one of those people that like to switch cars every few years, then it totally wasn't worth it because you were losing a lot of money. Now the story is a little bit different because they're towards the bottom of the depreciation curve. So even if you buy one now, let's say for $10,000, it's not really going to depreciate that much in a few years, maybe a grand or two. So I guess this is the best time to buy. I bought my car for $25,000 out the door, and it's probably worth like half of that right now, if that. Well, let me take some of that back. If you buy an F30, like the modern 335i's, then those can still hit you really hard with depreciation. The E chassis, not so much because they're towards the bottom. The worst is when you try to buy one of these cars fairly new. They lose like half of their value like at a blink of an eye. You see, a few years ago, it bugged me that my car was depreciating so fast because if I wanted to get into another car, it was very difficult because my 335i was upside down, meaning that even with a trade-in, I would still owe some money on the loan. But you see, now it doesn't really bug me at all because the 335i is like a money maker for me. It brings in income. I can use it as a business expense, and if it keeps depreciating, who cares? I've made all my money back plus more. The fifth and final thing I wish I knew before I purchased my BMW 335i is how tunable that car was. You see, back when I got the 335i, I was a car guy, but I wasn't really into like the tune-in cars for performance. I was more of a guy, put some suspension, put some wheels, make it look nice, you know, like a show car. And to be really honest with you guys, I blindly went into a BMW 335i knowing nothing about the N54 motor. And to be real, the car was plenty fast. 300 horsepower, 300 pound-feet of torque was more than enough power for me to drive in the city. That was literally the fastest car I've ever driven at the time. If I knew I can get an easy tune from like MHD or JB4 for less than 500 bucks and add 100 horsepower with no modifications to the car, I would have so done that. And then knowing that you can add downpipes, a front mount intercooler, inlets, E85 blend, and you could be pushing like 450 wheel horsepower. That's crazy. Come to think of it, it's probably a good thing that I didn't know how easy it was to tune the N54 because I probably would have killed my young self. You know, 450 wheel horsepower and 500 torque is no freaking joke, especially in a rear wheel drive car. And with all that power, you're pretty much walking most people that you encounter on the road. But like I said, it's probably a good thing that I didn't know the tuning potential of the 335i because I spent the first 4 years just getting to know my car. And it wasn't until the 5th year where I started adding performance mod and tuning the car that I think I was truly ready for it. I will keep this in mind. If you're a person that's looking to buy a 335i for the first time and you don't have experience with high performance rear wheel drive cars, you gotta take it easy with this car because it can get very dangerous very quick. I would say go through the steps. Maintenance first, of course, then just get used to the car, have fun with it. Then once you think you're ready, you go for a moderate tune without full bolt-ons. Then once you're ready for the next step, full bolt-ons with a tune. And then if you think that's not enough and you want to go into like crazy territory, then you upgrade the turbos with a custom tune. And things start to get nuts after that. Pretty much what I'm trying to say is gradually increase as you get comfortable with the power. No need to rush it. This car can get very dangerous very fast. So respect the car, take your time, get comfortable. And those are the 5 things I wish I knew before I purchased my 335i. If you guys enjoyed the video, you found this helpful, make sure and hit that like button. It really does help out the channel. And for all my 335i people that are probably watching this video, if there's something you wish you would have known when you purchased your car, let me know in the comment section below. I really want to know what you guys have to say. Anyways, as always guys, thanks for watching. Till next time.